All right, greetings, my fellow fearless sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful Swampy Mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Saturday, May 6th, 2017. Man, such a beautiful day. It was like a little cloudy and rainy earlier yesterday, and man, it's like in the high 60s. Nice. Gonna be a beautiful day for the air show down here. And unfortunately, I'm going to be working the first day. Hopefully, tomorrow will be just like this. I'm going to have to just check it out and just mingle with the folks out there. Yes, I am transmitting at CJ's Java Lounge, located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue, along the new rivers of Fort Lauderdale, right by the Andrews Avenue Bridge, the southwest section of it. Yeah, so, a lot of things are happening right now on the French elections with the presidents, or the candidates are running for president. And it looks like, Barack Obama supports the bankster's butt boy, just like him, the Wonder Twins. I just got a great laugh. Oh my good grief. Because why? Because him and I are owned. We are both bend over bobs to the New World Order. If I read that from this teleprompter, this whole thing just makes me laugh. That's why, my friends, politics is just another form of entertainment. If you take it too seriously, you get great real quick, and plus you'll get involved in the divide and conquer programming. The whole thing is this for sure. The French people got to make that decision. And even if there are candidates in there, the populace, you still got to put her feet and the rest of the parliament fire. Put their feet to the fire. Keep them on their toes. Or as I'm concerned, they need to redo their French Constitution, man. I'm like, real total head scratcher. So, yeah. But just chilling right here and seeing the river. Everyone's like enjoying it. Okay, so speaking of the elections and campaigns and all that good stuff, why not? We'll just go with that little trend. Before I do, there's this social media site I just found out today called FutureNet, and it's give Facebook a run for its money. And I am going to post that on here, which is the website is glenn1964.futurenet.club or futurenet.club. So I'm definitely, Glenn Candacy, he's a man from Florida, does a lot of like truth support truthers, whistleblowers, and all that, and is more very private friendly. So yeah, definitely check it out. And we'll just proceed here with breaking news. Macron busted. New documents prove he lied about tax evasion. This came from Natural News don't really say it, by the editors. Emmanuel Macron. Yeah, the bankster's bellboy. Alright, it says here, French presidential candidate Emmanuel Macron was accused of recently of tax evasion. Macron denied the allegations. Now new documents prove he lied about almost everything. It's by an article by Carter Brown, republished from Gateway to Gateway Pundit. 2 days ago, Annan Olpo, the fourth Chan threads notorious for unmasked Antifa, among other things, uploaded proof of Macron's tax evasion. Document 1 shows the Macron La Province LLC operating agreement, and you can see the full document here. Okay. And it shows document 2. Shows the banking associate Brian Hyde is located in the Cayman Islands. Okay. And the first image from Chan 4, Macron is hiding assets in the Cayman Islands. It says his name right there. And, of course, second image from 4chan details Macron financial dealings are coming soon. I'm sorry, man. This is great. And a couple of days later, the BB Magic exploded this into the mainstream France, where it became the main article on Le Monde. All right. And, of course, Jack posing back to the U.S. Verification of Macron's Cayman Bank account. And this came out a couple of days ago. And so it has a lot of merit. Initially, there was a snafu regarding the images of the documents with people claiming they were photoshopped because some compression artifacts. And this was due to the fact that the source who leaked the documents was not a technical guy, and he simply turned the images into PDF, which wrecked the images. The media continues to repeat the line Macron uttered, "I don't have an account in the Bahamas," and he's right. He has an account in the Cayman Islands. Note, Macron denied that he was concealing assets, hiding offshore accounts, or inheritances from French authorities, even as his opponents, Francois's film, became mired in the similar allegations. And there's another Twitter from Jack Posek, U.S. The media keeps repeating Macron, "I don't have an account in the Bahamas," but the document says Cayman Islands. The documents analysis can be found on Got News. So you can just go on here. This is totally hilarious. SwiftNet logs go to back months. Marcus Riddle corruption was decoded. Not only did Poe found out what his accounts were, but extended money he has hidden for the French government, a massive amount. Another tweet by Levy Smith. Poe's working to contact the banker where Macron hid his assets, hoping to convince him to reveal more information. Let's talk about foreign influence in the elections. Oh, man, you can look at this, my friends. It is hilarious. Even the Got News site right here. You can see it for yourself. Artists call for Macron award after examining tax fraud. This is on May 4th. French journalists are in panic mode, defending poor quality scans as Photoshop's desperate to try to save elections. Wow. Look at that. You can read more at the Pudnit. And it's really something else here because we gotta this is totally hilarious. And of course, let's just see how far this baby goes. That's really it. But I'm just laughing. I'm such an honest man. I'm a bit of a Bob. That's right. Good grief. How far can the cesspool go? That's why a lot of us now, the funniest thing is they assume they got to hide this information. Well, sorry, Trump, this is not the 80s anymore or the 70s. You bastards like you, Macron, is walking around naked. You can't even wear a barrel or a leaf between your legs. I'm sorry, I just think this is fantastic. But I want to continue on here. It's mostly about Macron, the pretty boy here with that glam boy. Macron president. Oh yeah, look at his 2 fists in the air. It's from ITV report, came out yesterday. 11:48 p.m. French media warned not to publish emails hacked from Macron's team in a massive cyber attack. French media have been warned not to publish content from any emails allegedly hacked from presidential candidate Emmanuel Macron's campaign team to prevent the outcome of the vote being influenced. It comes after Mr. Macron's team said he has been target of a massive and coordinated hacking attack ahead of Sunday's presidential runoff. France's Presidential Election Commission also said it should be a criminal offense to republish any campaign data. Ooh. It said it could. Ooh. Earlier in a statement, Macron's party and March, which he founded in 2016, it said it was hacked a few weeks ago and that the leaked documents had been mixed with false ones online. It's that whoever is behind the leaked documents is trying to seed doubt and disinformation and destabilize the runoff. Oh, really? Earlier, WikiLeaks tweeted that the leak contained many tens of thousands of emails, photos, and attachments date up to April 24th. But it said it had to come too late to affect the election's results. There is no suggestion WikiLeaks is responsible for the hack, and other tweets from the account also implied that this is not the case. And you can see on here in the WikiLeaks assessment update, massive leak is too late to shift the election. The intent behind the timing is curious. Emmanuel Macron will duel with far-right's Marine Le Pen for the keys to the LC Palace. The candidates stopped campaigning at midnight on Friday to give voters a day of reflection before the poll, which has already seen the two parties that have dominated post-war politics cast aside by voters. Polls suggest Mr. Macron, 39, will win comfortably with the defeated Gaullist and socialist candidates, endorsing him to succeed Francois Hollande with appeals for national unity against Miss Le Pen's Front National. He stands here like he's some stupid pawn. Good grief. This guy looks pathetic, man. Mr. Macron broke with the socialists and set up his own movement, which he insists is neither left or right. No, but financially funded well by the Rothschilds, right? 'Cause I remember I did talk about that in my past episode about this man. The fact neither a Gaullist or socialist is on the runoff is unprecedented since France adopted its Fifth Republic system in 1958. Traditionally, center-left wins in presidential polls are celebrated at the Place de la Bastille, and center-right triumphs across Paris at the Place de la Condor. In a bid to show March is not aligned to either political side, Mr. Macron's team reportedly sought permission to use the Champs de Mars behind the Eiffel Tower on Sunday for what he hopes would be a victory rally. However, permission was refused in order to protect the lawns as part of the Paris Olympics bid. Oh man, how this anxiety keeps going and going and going? All right, well, the next one here came from ZeroHedge.com. And it says, France warns media not to publish hacked emails. Macron threatens with criminal charges. After 9 gigabytes of Macron linked documents and emails were released of an anonymous Pestibin website on Friday, and what Macron's campaign said was a massive and coordinated hacking attack, France fearing a similar response to what happened with Hillary Clinton after 35,000 John Podesta emails were released 1 month before the U.S. presidential election. Crackdown on the distribution of the files, warning on Saturday it would be a criminal offense to publish the data, and a warning that the French media not to publish content from any of the hacked emails to prevent the outcome of the vote being influenced. Quoted by Reuters, the French Election Commission said in a statement that on the eve of the most important election for our institutions, the Commission's call on everyone present on Internet sites and social networks, primarily the media, but also all citizens, to show responsibility and not to pass on this content. So as not to distort the singularity of the ballot. Following a rushed meeting on Saturday morning, the commission, which supervises the electoral process, said that the data had been fraudulently obtained and could be mixed with false information. It is unclear, however, how it hopes to enforce any punitive claims, especially when much of the initial document distribution appears to have taken place offshore. Domestically, in a similar reaction to the U.S. media's response to the Podesta emails, French TV news channels chose not to mention the hack, although the left-leaning Liberation prominent featured the news of on its website. Liberation author Cedric Mathieu wrote that the leak and its timing wants to create chaos, adding that the information was distributed in an unethical method. On Friday night, as news of what has been hashtagged as Macron leaks on Twitter spread, Florian Philippot, deputy leader of the National Front, tweeted, "Will Macron leaks teach us something that investigative journalism has deliberately kept silent?" In a tweeted response, Macron spokesman Sylvain Fort called Philippot's tweet vile. In another parallel to the Clinton leaks and Macron's and March's party said the leaked documents dealt with normal operations of campaign, which included some information on campaign accounts. It said the hackers had false documents with authentic ones to sow doubt and disinformation. But in the biggest parallel to the Clinton hacking, few have touched upon the actual contents of the documents, which some say confirm prior allegations of illicit financial dealings and offshore accounts, and instead merely sought to attack the messenger. Indeed, as journalist Kim Zetter noted overnight, telling journalists not to report on hacked emails misses point that nearly all important leaks occur because someone broke the law or a contract, and then listen with the following rhetorical question, flipping the situation by 180 degrees if GRU attending to assault them, hacks Trump, and publishes emails showing this connection to Russia. So should journalists report on those? They're making claims here on Twitter by Kim Zetter's account. You can see this for yourselves. And of course here, just look. Okay. That's not a problem. And like it says here, since there has been no suggestion about WikiLeaks for this hack, speculation about the source of the hack has grown, with Russia once again emerging as the usual suspect. Cited by Reuters, Vito Kremez, director of research of the New York-based cyber intelligence firm Flashpoint, said his review indicates that at 28, a group tied to the GRU, the Russian Military Intelligence Directorate, was being leaked. He saw similarities with election hacks that have been previously attributed to that group. Kremez also said that at 28 last month registered decoy internet addresses to mimic the name of Anne Marsh, which is likely to send emails to hack into campaign computers. Those domains include OneDrive and March, Fra and Mail and March France, .fr. Those like the French websites here. And if indeed driven by Moscow, this leak appears to be a significant escalation over the previous Russian operations aimed at the U.S. presidential election, expanding the approach and scope of effort from simple espionage efforts towards more direct attempts to sway the outcome, Kremlin said. We expect the Kremlin to deny all allegations shortly. To cover all bases, others have also accused the alt-right of being responsible for the leak. Witch hunt. Yeah, witch hunting fetishes, right? How manly of them. How patriotic. Ben Nemo, a UK security-based researcher with the Digital Forensic Research Lab of the Atlantic Council think tank, said initial analysis indicated a group of a U.S. far-right online activists were behind early efforts to spread the documents via social media. They were later picked up and promoted by core social media supporters of Le Pen in France, Nemo said. Leaks emerged on 4chan, a discussion from popular with far-right activists in the United States. An anonymous poster provided to links to the documents on Pestibin saying, "This was passed on me today, so now I'm giving it to you, the people." The hashtag marking leaks that was then spread by Jack Posobiec, a pro-Trump activist whose Twitter profiles identify him as a Washington, D.C. bureau chief of the far-right activist site Rebel TV. According to Nemo and other analysts tracking the election, contacted by Reuters, Posobiec said he simply reposted what he saw on 4chan. You have a hashtag drive that started with the alt-right in the United States that has been picked up by some of Le Pen's most dedicated and aggressive followers online, Nemo told reporters. Sunday's election, whose result is expected in just over 24 hours, is deemed the most important in France for decades, with two diametrically opposed views of Europe and countries' place in the world at stake. Tune in then to find out what if WikiLeaks is correct and the Markin leaks is nothing more than a tempest in a teapot unable to chisel away a Macron lead over Le Pen, which the latest polls calculated as much as 25 points. So, the witch hunting continues. They're going to try to blame who, what, and where. But the whole thing is this. Yeah, I just do really find this hilarious as well because, it just gives me a good laugh here. But of course, WikiLeaks did one as well. Well, like I said, the main idea, my friends, is look, there's been enough evidence stating that he's a bankster's bellboy. So we're gonna find out how the election is gonna be on that day. So on that time. So, and right over here, more of the fear, I would say, is by Reuters, Thomson Reuters Foundation News. And it says here, France fights to keep Macron email hacked from distorting the election. Emails posted online just before official campaign ends. Electoral Commission warns Republication be a crime. Polls predict Macron set for a comfortable win over Le Pen. Voting start in overseas French territories. Adds French media response to hacking start of voting overseas. Attack on Macron regional office by Adrian Croft and Gert de Klerk. Paris, May 6th. France sought to keep a computer hack of frontrunner Emmanuel Macron's campaign emails from influencing the outcome of the country's presidential election without a warning on Saturday. It will be a criminal offense to republish the data. Macron's team said a massive hack had dumped emails, documents, and campaign financing information online just before campaigning ended on Friday, and France entered a quiet period, which forbids politicians from commenting on the leak. The data leak emerged as polls predicted Macron, a former investment banker and economist minister, was on the course for a comfortable victory over far-right leader Marine Le Pen in Sunday's election, with the last survey showing his lead widening to a 62% to 38%. On the eve of the most election for institutions, the commission's call on everyone present on the internet site and social networks, primarily media, but also citizens, to show responsibility and not to pass on this content not as to distort the sincerity of the ballot, the French Election Commission said in a statement on Saturday. However, the commission, which supervises the election process, may find it difficult to enforce its rules in an era where people get much of their news online. Information flows freely across the borders. Many users are anonymous. French media cover the hack in various ways, with leading Liberation giving it prominence on its website, but television news channels opting not to mention it. Le Monde newspaper said on its website it would not publish the content of any of the leaked documents before the election, partly because the huge amount of data meant that was not enough time to report it on properly, but also because the dossier has been published on a purpose 48 hours before the election, were the clear claim of affecting the vote. If these documents contain revelations, Le Monde will, of course, publish them after having investigated them, respecting our journalistic and ethical rules, and without allowing ourselves to be exploited by the publishing calendar of anonymous actors. It said, as hashtag MacronLeaks hashtag buzzed around the media on Friday, Florian Philippot, the deputy leader of Le Pen's National Front Party, tweeted, "Will MacronLeaks teach us something that investigative journalism has deliberately kept silent? Destabilization." As much as 9 gigabytes of data purporting to be the documents from Macron campaign were posted on a profile called EMLeaks. Du Pestament, a site that follows anonymous document sharing. It was not immediately clear who was responsible, but Macron's political movement said in a statement the hack was an attempt to destabilize democracy and to damage the party. So it's like I said, there's a lot of people may call it espionage and all that, but I don't. And March said the leaked document deals with the normal operations of a campaign and includes some information on campaign accounts. It said the hackers had mixed false documents with authentic ones to sow doubt and disinformation. on Sunday's election, seen as the most important in France for decades, with two diametrically opposed views of Europe and the country's place in the world at stake. Le Pen will close borders and quit the euro currency, while Macron wants closer European cooperation and an open economy. So someone here is a pro-Club of Rome, and another one isn't. So just make you think on that. Borders in some of French overseas territories and the Americans were due to their cast ballots on Saturday, a day before voting in France itself. First polling stations opened at 1000 GMT, General Time, were in Saint Pierre and Malicans Islands off Canada, and others in French Guiana and South America, Guadeloupe and Martinique in the Caribbean, the South Pacific Islands of French Polynesia, and French citizens living elsewhere in the Americas were also due to vote on Saturday. The France Police Union Alternative Police warned in a statement that there was a risk of violence on Election Day by activists of the far right or far left. Extreme right student activists burst into the office of Macron's political movement in the southeastern city of Lyon on Friday evening, setting off smoke grenades and scattering false banknotes bearing Macron's picture, police said. France is the latest nation to see a major election overshadowed by allegations of manipulation through cyber hacking, after the U.S. intelligence agency said in January, that Russian President Vladimir Putin had ordered hacking of parties tied to Democratic presidential election presidential candidate Hillary Clinton to influence the election on behalf of Republican Donald Trump. Valdez Krim is director of research with both New York-based cyber intelligence firm Flashpoint told Reuters. His review indicated that App 28, a group tied to the GRU, the Russian Military Intelligence Directorate, was behind the leak. Macron's campaign has previously complained about attempts to hack his emails, blaming Russian interests in part for the cyber attacks. The Kremlin has denied it was behind any attacks, although Macron's camp renewed complaints against Russian media and hackers group operating in Ukraine. So it's this typical witch hunting, scapegoat. Let's blame a country for their actions. And the whole thing is, everyone knows, I don't need to be a Russian to figure that Macron's a crook. But I'm not going to highly praise Le Pen on this as well. The French people are going to make that decision and do it on the right course. So someone's hiding something. Someone's worried. Because a lot of stuff is coming out. It's not like the 80s anymore, to the least. Now all this information, boring information, a lot of folks are going to be stripped naked. And I can say this about Emmanuel Macron. Yeah, he's a very prime example. And of course, Barack Obama made an endorsement to him. Smoking gun, my friends. Only thing I can say, the France, be ready. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, because you got a lot of folks out there who will try to use it to benefit more of a totalitarian regime. Pay attention, stay focused, and stand up for your principles. That is it about the whole Macron thing. I'm going to do one more here. I just came out a couple days ago. It's from pewtrust.org, the Pew Charitable Trust. And it says here, despite session talk, breaking up is hard to do. It came out May 4th. It's by Mindy Fetterman. Editor's note. It was updated. It says 10th Amendment relates to states' powers. Of course. When two generals signed papers here 152 years ago, also bring the Civil War to close. They ended the bid by 11 southern states to secede from the Union, and that than most believe was at. Yet ever since the South's General Robert E. Lee surrendered to North's General Ulysses S. Grant in 1865, groups across the United States have advocated seceding from the country, their own states, or in a few cases, their cities. Recently, these efforts have ranged from fairly large, ongoing campaigns in Texas and California to smaller pushes in Oklahoma, Maine, Utah, West Virginia, and New York's Long Island, among others. Just last month, a long-shot effort to allow Californians to vote on seceding fell apart after one of the founders dropped out amid criticism of his ties to Russia. But a new group pushing secession has vowed to collect nearly 600,000 signatures required by July to put the measure on the November 2018 ballot. Last May, the Texas nationalist movement came within 2 votes of adding Texas independence language to the state's Republican platform. And in Oklahoma, Republican State Senator Joseph Silk in January introduced a bill to remove the word inseparable from the sentence in the state constitution describing Oklahoma as an inseparable part of the federal union. The move for independence, whether it's from the right political spectrum as in Texas or the left as in California, reflects political division felt across the country. Edward Baez, a supporter of the Yes California secession group that just disbanded, we have 2 diametrically opposed philosophies in our country, and we're just not getting anywhere, he said. I think we should allow states to secede so California can be California and Texas can be Texas. Nationwide interest in seceding is fairly strong, as online survey Reuters in 2014 found that nearly 1 in 4 Americans want their states to secede. Desire high is 34% in the Southwest, which includes Texas. In some areas of the country, there is no organized effort to split from the U.S., just a feeling we've been left behind and no one cares about us, said Dwayne Yancey, editorial page editor of Roanoke Times, who in March wrote that he called a tongue-in-cheek editorial, "Should Southwest Virginia secede from the rest of Virginia?" Historically, we felt out, and a number of those are coming to a head. Yancey said Southwest Virginia is mostly rural, white, and poor. Coal mining has declined dramatically, although the city of Roanoke has a stable economy with Virginia Tech University and other employers, he said. Yet the feeling is that state legislature in Richmond is not doing right by us here. Despite the heightening interest in secession, many lawyers and constitutional scholars said it's legally impossible for a state to secede because the U.S. Constitution doesn't address the issue. It has no provision to allow it. The U.S. Supreme Court declared in the 1869 case, Texas versus what the United States has an indestructible union. And the late U.S. Supreme Court Justice Antonio Scalia wrote in a 2006 letter that if there was any constitutional issue resolved by the Civil War, is that there is no right to secede. Well, to respect to the late Justice Antonio Scalia, it wasn't a civil war. It was the war between the United States and the Confederate States. Get your facts straight. I know he's passed, but folks better learn this. Know the difference between a civil war and a war between 2 nations. Yet some lawyers, historians, and secession groups argue that the 10th Amendment of the Constitution states that the right to decide many issues which are not in the power of the federal government. Despite the legal obstacles, the desire for self-rule and separation from others with different political, social, or moral views remains strong among some groups. Being part of a secession movement is about being part of a group as it circles around and sacred values and marks out what is good and what is evil, said Jonathan Hatton, a psychologist and professor at New York University's Stern School of Business, who has written about moral differences between liberals and conservatives. Joining the secession movement is an act of both self-expression and group expression, he said. Why secede? One of the first secession movements arose in England, prompted by the War of 1812. A trade embargo against England had hurt New England's economy, and a convention was held to discuss secession. A victory in that war put a halt to the movement. Secession movements have sprung up sporadically ever since, but the election in 2008 of the first African American president, Barack Obama, saw a spike of efforts to secede, some of which were tied to white supremacist movements. In Texas, which was an independent republic between 1836 and 1946, there have long been group interests in seceding from the U.S. But the Texas nationalist movement, which supports a statewide referendum to settle the question, grew dramatically during Obama's presidency, said Daniel Miller, head of the Texas nationalist movement. In California, the election of Donald Trump as president has fueled secession efforts. We had 11,000 signatures before Trump, then it jumped to 30,000 in a day, then to 45,000, said Marcus Ruiz Evans, founder of Yes California. People join because they hate Trump, but we've always said, this isn't about Trump. It's about a country that would elect him, a racist, a misogynist. That's a question. Those people you want to associate with? A second group in California, led by Silicon Valley venture capitalist Tim Draper, supported an effort to break California into 6 states. But supporters weren't able to collect enough signatures to put it on the November 2016 ballot. Brexit, the UK vote, in 2016 to leave the European Union has heartened some US secessionists. Many of them who support Scotland's efforts to separate from the UK's Draper's group is working with Brexit supporter Nigel Farage of the UK to figure out a new strategy for splitting California into 6 states. Texas and California secession groups argue that their state economies are large enough to stand alone, and that they pay more taxes to the federal government than they get in services in return. There is no doubt that secession groups are pro-white, anti-immigrant, and anti-racist, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, which studies hate groups nationwide. In 2000, the name of the League of the South, formed in 1994 as a hate group. Since 2014, the LOS has funded billboard campaign in Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, and Arkansas with one big hashtag, secede. Neither the former Yes California nor the Texas Nationalists is on the SPLS hate group, but the center said that neo-Confederates, who in many cases are open secessionists, favor segregation and suggest white supremacy. I gotta say one thing about the Southern Poverty Law Center. I've been keeping tabs on this organization for like over 20 years. I am not impressed with Morris D's rhetoric and the people that are in it. And even the biggest mistake they made was telling people that Ron Paul was a potential terrorist. All right? So your credibility is out the window for these ass clowns that they are. And if people still believe their hoopla, you're just a bunch of damn fools that will make them, keep them, that will put them in business after all these years. Could a state pull out? Groups in Texas and California argue in part that because their state were once independent, they could be independent again. A group of Northern Californians claimed independence from Mexico for 25 days in 1846, but the U.S. Constitution doesn't address the issue of secession. It neither gives states the right to secede nor denies it, says Gary Gallagher, director of the John L. Nell III Center for Civil War History and professor of history at the University of Virginia. He and other legal scholars also point to the Supreme Court ruling in 1869. That case stemmed from Texas' sale of U.S. government bonds during the Civil War to help fund the Confederacy. When Texas joined the U.S. after the war, it argued the bonds had been sold illegally and wants its money back. The court ruled against Texas, declaring that Texas has entered an indissoluble relationship when it joined the U.S. and that the country itself is a perpetual union. Miller, who heads the Texas Nationalist Movement, sees it the other way. If I had a nickel for every time someone says the Constitution doesn't give your state the right, I'd be rich. It means that the Constitution is silent on the issue, he said, referring to the right to secede. So fact that the Constitution doesn't talk about it, doesn't eliminate it. It just means we have to turn to the court. Craig Lerner, professor of law at George Mason University in Arlington, Virginia, disagrees. We've had a war over secession once, and that war seems to validate Lincoln's views that a state cannot secede without consent of all the states. Lerner agrees that Texas is a bit different because it used to be an independent state, but since Texas became part of the United States in 1845, it lost their freedom to separate, he said. Why did the groups like Texas Nationalist Movement preserve? The idea that people said things will never happen, this is some kind of pipe dream. Well, I'm pretty sure that was a feeling of the British when they wanted to get out of the EU, Miller said. Ever since the end of World War I, people have been seeking self-determination, he said. Look at Scotland. It never got a vote, but after 800 years, it gets two. That he believes it could happen for Texas. Perhaps, but for now, and the foreseeable future, only one flag flies at the Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia, the U.S. flag. Well, it's interesting about it because who started the United States? 13 colonies. Not Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. All right? Those colonies seceded from Great Britain. And whatever the federal government says, the states don't have to do. 10th Amendment. All right? And I'll give you a good example on the Texas Constitution. And it's still in the books today. If I'm correct, it mainly addresses that they are a free nation, if I'm correct. And it says here, Article 1, Section 1 of the Texas Constitution, Bill of Rights, Article 1. Freedom and sovereignty of state. Texas is a free and independent state, subject only to the Constitution of the United States and the maintenance of our free institutions and perpetuity of the Union depending on the preservation of the right of local self-government unimpaired to all the states. They're aligned with the United States, but not owned by the United States government. That's how I look at it. So I'm definitely going to add that to the memo. And like I said before, the Civil War was a war between the United States and the Confederate States. And if you look at it, study it, there was no constitutional war approved by Congress. So it was an illegal war. They don't teach you that in history books. And even New York City during this time wants to separate from the state of New York and the United States to be a free trade zone. So you got to always look at everything when you talk about. I can say, yes, you have the right to separate from the Union. You can do things that any federal law, the states and local governments can shoot it down. Or no, we're not going to support it. So yes, states got those powers. And I don't care what these individuals have to say, respectfully. So, but if Texas and California want to secede, it's up to them. So be it. And that is it. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something that you may want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondence with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, Minds.com. You can get me on Patreon.com /LokiLuck3, LLI. Loki Luck for 3 eyes. Sorry about that. And you could get me on FutureNet.club. LokiLuck3. So you get that as well. All right? Plus, you can email me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com, or you encrypted types LokiLuck03 altogether, numbers 03 altogether, at protonmail.com. All right. Oh, that's all for now. Once again, thank you for your time. But always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.